Chapter 1. The courtroom smells wrong. Not like justice, whatever that's supposed to smell like. It smells like lemon furniture polish and the faint acidic tang of fear sweat. The kind of smell that clings to expensive wool suits when their owners realize they've miscalculated. Richard Ashford sits in Section 3, Row C of Los Angeles County Superior Court, Department 57. It's 9:47 a.m. on December 14, 2023. The mahogany benches are cold even through his charcoal brioni slacks. He's wearing the same tie he wore to Margaret's funeral, navy silk with a subtle geometric pattern. He wonders if his children remember. He doubts it. Across the aisle, 15 feet and a lifetime away, sit Connor, Vanessa, and Julian. Connor wears a Tom Ford suit the color of gunmetal. His Patek Philippe Nautilus catches the overhead fluorescence, $84,000 retail, Richard knows, because Connor sent him the listing with a hint so obvious it was nearly an invoice. Vanessa's Hermes Birkin bag rests on the bench beside her like a small orange leather dog. Julian scrolls through his iPhone 15 Pro Max with the bored entitlement of someone who's never waited for anything in his life. Their lawyer is new. Richard has never seen him before. A man in his late 40s with silver temples and cufflinks shaped like tiny gavels. The performative symbolism makes Richard's jaw tighten. The bailiff locks the courtroom door. Click. That sound. Metallic. Final. Judge Carolyn Way enters. 63, reading glasses on a beaded chain. The kind of woman who looks like she's been disappointed by humanity for decades and has simply stopped expecting better. She opens a manila folder. Inside is a document Richard has never seen before. Petition for incompetency evaluation and emergency conservatorship in the matter of Richard Clayton Ashford. Richard's hands don't shake. Not yet. Vanessa doesn't look at him. Connor adjusts his collar. Julian glances up from his phone and smiles, not warmly but the way a hedge fund manager smiles before a hostile takeover. The petition claims Richard has severe cognitive decline, exhibits dangerous financial recklessness, and has been unduly influenced and manipulated by a foreign domestic worker with potential predatory intent. They're trying to take everything. The house, the portfolio, the trusts, Margaret's jewelry, his name. Richard thinks back to February 3, 2023, to 2:34 a.m., to a glass of water with 3 ice cubes, to 6 words. Sir, you deserve better than this. He thinks about the 287 days since then, and he stops thinking like a father. He starts thinking like the lawyer who once made a U.S. senator cry during a deposition. They have no idea what's coming. Chapter 2. Richard Clayton Ashford didn't become worth $47.3 million by accident. For 42 years, he was the man Fortune 500 general counsels called at 3 a.m. when the SEC came knocking. When Enron collapsed, Richard was on 3 different legal teams, not defending the fraud, but dismantling it, tracing the shell companies and offshore accounts that executives thought were invisible. He once found $340 million in misappropriated pension funds by noticing a single discrepancy in a timestamp on a database log. The forensic accountant missed it. The FBI missed it. Richard saw it because he'd spent 4 decades learning that people who steal always leave fingerprints. He didn't work in courtrooms. He worked in war rooms, conference tables covered in financial statements, wire transfer records, and coffee rings. He spoke 3 languages fluently: English, Mandarin, and the particular dialect of corporate tax law that the IRS uses to destroy people. By the time he was 50, he'd ghostwritten portions of California's trust and estate code. He taught seminars at Stanford Law School. He was the guy other lawyers called when they were stuck. The professional skill that makes him dangerous. Richard specialized in beneficial ownership structure. The legal architectures that hide who really owns what. Offshore trusts. Shell LLCs. Irrevocable family trusts with successor beneficiaries buried 6 entities deep. If you wanted to hide money, Richard could find it. If you wanted to protect assets, Richard could make them vanish into legal structures so complex that even a federal subpoena would take 18 months to unravel. And if you betrayed him, Richard could make you disappear from your own fortune without you realizing it until it was too late. The wound. Margaret died on April 22, 2015. Ovarian cancer. Stage 4. Diagnosed 14 months earlier. She fought it the way she fought everything, with grace, dark humor, and an annotated binder of medical research she printed herself because she didn't trust doctors to keep up. Richard was with her at the end, holding her hand in room 814 of Huntington Memorial Hospital. Her last words weren't poetic. She said, "Don't let them forget who you are." Then she squeezed his hand twice, their old signal from across crowded dinner parties, the silent code for "I love you, let's get out of here." Then nothing. The funeral was large. Over 300 people. The children gave eulogies. Connor spoke about Margaret's timeless elegance. Vanessa cried beautifully. Photographers from town and country were there. Julian read a Maya Angelou poem he clearly didn't understand. Richard noticed even then that none of them stayed after the service. Vanessa had a gallery opening in Manhattan. Connor had a flight to London. Julian had something. Richard stopped asking. The slow disappearance. In the 2 years after Margaret's death, the children's visits dropped from monthly to quarterly to whenever it's convenient. By 2018, Richard lived alone in the 8,400 square foot Pasadena estate Margaret had designed. Spanish Revival architecture, saltillo tile floors, a library with floor-to-ceiling walnut shelves, and a garden full of jacaranda trees that bloomed purple. Every spring and reminded Richard of absolutely everything he'd lost. He told himself the kids were busy, building careers, building lives. But the calls always came around the 1st and the 15th of the month, always with the same structure. Pleasantries, 45 seconds. A compliment. "You sound good, Dad." The ask. Vanessa needed $73,000 for a gallery security upgrade. Connor needed $120,000 to cover a margin call. Julian needed $40,000 for a business accelerator program in Bali. Richard paid. Every time. He thought love was measured in wire transfers. He thought if he kept giving, they'd keep coming back. He was wrong. Enter Maria Delgado. On January 12, 2022, the agency sent Maria. She was 44. Filipina. Quiet in the way people are when they've learned that silence is safer than speaking. She had a work visa, an associate degree from a community college in Quezon City, and references from 3 families in Brentwood. She cooked adobo, sinigang, and lumpia. She kept the library dusted. She noticed that Richard folded the corner of page 237 in every book he read and left a post-it note there so he wouldn't lose his place when she cleaned. She didn't ask questions. Didn't hover. Didn't perform grief. For 9 months, Richard barely noticed her. She was part of the house. Like the furniture. Then came February 3, 2023. The night that changed everything. Richard wakes up at 2:34 a.m. in his study. His chest is tight. His hands are shaking. He can't breathe. Panic attack. His 4th that month. He's surrounded by Margaret's photo albums, the leather-bound ones she made by hand, full of pictures from trips to Provence and Kyoto and the coast of Maine. Pictures of a life that's gone. The house is silent. The kids haven't called in 19 days. Richard wonders briefly if anyone would even notice if he died. If the landscaper would find him a week later. If the obituary would say, survived by 3 children who couldn't name his favorite book, or the year he stopped drinking scotch, or the fact that he still sets the thermostat to 67 degrees because that's the temperature Margaret liked. Maria appears in the doorway. No judgment. No panic. She brings him a glass of cold water with exactly 3 ice cubes. Richard stares at the glass. Margaret used to make it exactly like that. 3 cubes. Not 2, not 4. Richard never told Maria that. Maria sits in the leather chair across from him. Doesn't speak. Doesn't touch him. Just present. After 10 minutes, Richard times it later obsessively, wondering if he imagined the whole thing. Maria says, "Sir, you deserve better than this. Not pity. Not servitude. Truth." Richard's voice cracks when he asks, Better than what? Maria looks at him. Really looks. Better than people who only love you when you're useful. The shift. That sentence detonates 8 years of self-deception. Over the next 3 weeks, Richard watches. He sees. Connor calls on March 1st at 11:03 p.m. Doesn't ask how Richard is. Asks if the Q1 distribution is still on schedule. Vanessa sends a birthday text 4 days late. It includes a Venmo request for $1,800. Dad, can you cover my car payment? Tight month XO. Julian calls drunk from a yacht in Mykonos, laughing in the background saying, "Bro, I swear to God, Dad's losing it. He asked me when I visited last." Like he's becoming that guy. Richard realizes he's been funding his own irrelevance. The professional awakening. Richard does what he does best. He audits his own life. He pulls 8 years of bank statements, trust distribution records, call logs, email metadata, credit card statements. The findings, compiled March 15 to April 2, 2023. Since Margaret's death, the children have extracted $4,731,482 in loans. Repayment rate, 0%. $389,000 in credit card charges Richard didn't authorize. 127 wire transfers marked emergency. 91% occurred within 48 hours of social media posts showing luxury vacations. Visits to the Pasadena house. 2015 to 2017, 31 visits. 2018 to 2029 visits. 2021 to 2023, 2 visits, both to ask for money in person. Calls on Richard's birthday, April 9, 2015. All 3 called. 2020. Vanessa texted. 2023. Nothing. The spreadsheet. Richard opens an encrypted Excel file. Title: Project Restoration. Initiated February 24, 2023. Phase 1 Evidence Collection. Phase 2 Asset Isolation. Phase 3 Legal Severance. Phase 4 The Reckoning. Richard doesn't get angry. He gets surgical. The proposal. One morning over coffee, April 18, 2023, 7:45 a.m. Richard looks at Maria and says, "I'm going to ask you something unusual. You can say no." Maria waits. She's good at waiting. "I'm going to change my will. I'm going to marry you. And I'm going to take everything back from people who think I'm already dead." Maria's face doesn't change. "Why me?" Richard's voice is steady. "Because in 8 years, you're the only person who treated me like a human being instead of a bank account." Silence. "But this isn't a fairy tale," Richard continues. "This is war. It's going to get ugly. They'll call you a gold digger. They'll say I'm senile. They'll try to destroy you. And I need to know if you're willing to fight." Maria looks at him for a long time. Then she says, "What do you need me to do?" Richard slides a document across the table. Prenuptial agreement. "Read this. If you sign, you get nothing if you leave me. Nothing if we divorce. But if you stay, if you're with me when I die, you get everything. The house. The portfolio. All of it." Maria reads. Richard adds, "They'll say you manipulated me. So I'm going to prove legally that I'm sound of mind. I'm going to get a cognitive evaluation from 3 independent doctors. I'm going to document everything. And then I'm going to make sure that when they try to take what's mine, they lose everything." Maria looks up. "When do we start?" Richard smiles for the first time in months. "We already have." Chapter 3. Richard doesn't act impulsively. He's spent 42 years watching people destroy themselves by moving too fast. First, he documents. He doesn't want revenge. He wants evidence. Over the next 90 days, Richard creates a forensic record of emotional and financial abuse that would hold up in any probate court in the country. He gives them rope. Then he watches them hang themselves. Example 1, Vanessa's Gallery Gala, March 18, 2023. Vanessa calls at 11:03 p.m. on a Wednesday. Richard is in bed, reading the remains of the day for the 4th time. Vanessa. Daddy. Hi. I know it's late, but... Richard. Noting the time in his leather journal. What do you need, Vanessa? Vanessa laughs, brittle, performative. God, you make it sound so transactional. I just wanted to hear your voice. Richard pulls up her contact info on his phone. Last call. February 2nd. 44 days ago. Richard. You haven't answered my last 4 calls. Vanessa, defensive pivot. I've been absolutely slammed. The gallery, actually, that's kind of why I'm calling. We have this insane opportunity. A Basquiat sketch. It's under market because the seller needs liquidity fast. Like, criminally under market. $320,000. But if I don't move by Friday, a collector from Dubai is going to snap it up. Richard. You told me last year the gallery was profitable. Vanessa sharp. It is. This is about strategic acquisition, Dad. Growth capital. You taught me that. Or maybe you've forgotten. The implication hangs. Maybe you're losing it. Richard calm. I'll have my accountant wire it Monday. Vanessa instant warmth. You're the absolute best. I love you. I gotta run. Dinner with a collector from the Broad. Love you. Click. Call duration. 2 minutes 17 seconds. Richard's forensic follow-up, March 19th to March 24th. Richard doesn't wire the money immediately. Instead he pulls Vanessa's LLC filings, public record in New York. Vanessa Ashford Fine Arts LLC. Last filing, 2021. Reported. Revenue $47,000. Personal draws. Owner distributions $290,000. The gallery is insolvent. Hires a private art appraiser. Costs $2,400. The Basquiat sketch is listed on 3 resale sites. Provenance. Questionable. Authentication. Disputed. Actual value. $40,000 to $60,000. It's not a deal. It's a mistake at best, a scam at worst. Checks Vanessa's Instagram. Posted March 20th. Vanessa at Caviar Roost in Manhattan. Bottle of Krug Rose on the table, $600. Caption. Celebrating new acquisitions, clinking glasses sparkles. She's already spending money she doesn't have. Richard wires the $320,000. But he notes it in his encrypted file. Vanessa $320,000. Basquiat investment. March 22, 23. Evidence. LLC insolvent. Artwork authentication disputed. Personal spending contradicts claimed financial stress. Fraudulent intent. TBD. He's not her father right now. He's building a case. Example 2 Connor's bridge loan. April 2, 2023. Connor video calls from what he claims is his Singapore office. Behind him. Glass walls, tropical plants, a woman in a blazer laughing at something off camera. Connor. Dad, hey. Quick thing. I'm closing a deal this week. $18 million Series B round for a fintech app. Payments infrastructure for Southeast Asia. My co-investors are locked, but there's a $140,000 gap in my tranche. If I don't cover it by Monday, I get diluted out of the cap table. Richard, noting the background. Why not use your bonus? You said Q4 was strong. Connor annoyed. It's tied up in restricted stock options. Come on, this is a 6-month turnaround, maybe 8. I'll pay you back at 8% interest. I'll send you the term sheet. Richard, you said the same thing about the Lisbon condo development. Connor cold. That was a macro issue. Brexit crushed European real estate. You want me to apologize for geopolitics? Silence. Connor softening strategic. Look, I wouldn't ask if it wasn't solid. This is Sequoia-backed. You trust me, right? Richard. I'll send it. Connor. Appreciate it. Hey, you sound tired. You sleeping? Maybe lay off the whiskey before bed. Hangs up. Call duration. 3 minutes, 41 seconds. Richard's forensic follow-up. April 3rd to April 10th. Richard gets suspicious about the background of the call. The office looks staged. He checks Connor's LinkedIn. Current position. VP, Structured Products. Hathaway Singh Capital. But there's no recent activity. No posts. No updates. Calls a former colleague at Hathaway Singh. A favor from law school. Connor? He left in January. Expense fraud investigation. Settled quietly. No charges, but he's not coming back. Connor has been unemployed for 3 months. Hires a digital investigator. $1,800. The Singapore office in the video call? A WeWork at One Raffles Place. Day pass. $75. Connor faked the entire call. Researches the fintech startup. The company exists. Payroute Systems Pty Ltd. But the CEO, Aaron Lim, is flagged in an SEC filing for a 2019 pump and dump scheme. 2 of the co-investors Connor mentioned are under investigation. It's not a legitimate investment. It's a Ponzi scheme in the early innings. Richard wires the $140,000. But he also files an anonymous tip with the SEC. In his encrypted file, Connor $140,000. Fintech investment. April 5, 23. Evidence. Falsified employment, staged video call. Investment target under federal investigation. Fraudulent intent. Confirmed. Richard isn't protecting his son anymore. He's protecting the next victim. The family dinner, June 10, 2023. The breaking point. Richard invites all 3 children to the Pasadena house for dinner. It's the first time in 19 months they've been in the same room. Maria cooks Margaret's recipes. Her famous care, garlic rice and leche flan for dessert. The table is set with the Wedgwood china Margaret collected over 30 years. The children arrive separately. Vanessa pulls up in a black Mercedes G-Wagon. Leased $1,890 per month. Richard has checked. Connor flies in from Singapore or claims to. He's actually in Santa Monica. Richard's investigator confirmed. Julian arrives hungover. Wearing a Balenciaga hoodie that costs $1,200. The dinner begins 6:47 p.m. Vanessa looking around the dining room. God, this place is like a mausoleum. You ever think about downsizing, Dad? I mean, what do you need 8,000 square feet for? Connor, immediately calculating. Pasadena real estate is insane right now. You could pull $7.5 million, maybe $8 million. Buy a condo in Sierra Madre, bank the rest. Julian, laughing. Jesus, dude, he's not dead yet. Connor, not joking. I'm talking about liquidity optimization. Richard says nothing. Just watches. Richard, after 30 seconds of silence. I wanted to talk about the estate plan. The room goes still. Vanessa carefully. Oh, okay, sure. I mean, we're here for you, Dad. Whatever you need. Connor leaning forward, hands clasped, boardroom posture. Actually, we've been meaning to bring that up. We think, given everything, it might be smart to simplify the structure. Set up a revocable trust with co-trustees so that if something happens, there's no probate delay, no confusion. Richard. Co-trustees. Meaning you. Connor. Meaning people who can make sure you're protected. Richard. Protected from what? Vanessa jumping in, soft voice. Dad, you're 67. If something happened, a stroke, an accident, dementia, we just want to make sure everything is taken care of. Richard. By taking control of my assets. Julian laughs sharp. Jesus Christ, Dad. Paranoid much. Richard flatly. I've given you $4.73 million in 8 years. Silence. Connor cold. We didn't realize you were keeping score. Richard. None of it was repaid. Vanessa standing, voice rising. This is what we're doing now? You're shaming us? We're your children. Richard calm, surgical. When's my birthday? Beat. Vanessa. What? Richard. My birthday. What's the date? No one answers. Richard. April 9th. It was 8 weeks ago. Connor. We've been busy. Richard. Maria remembered. Connor voice like a knife. Of course she did. That's literally her job. Richard. No. Her job is to clean and cook. Caring was optional. She did it anyway. Vanessa loud accusatory. Oh my God. Are you fucking her? The room detonates. Julian. Holy shit, he is. Connor standing. Dad. If you're being manipulated. Richard stands voice like iron. Get out. Connor. We're trying to help you. Richard. Get out. Vanessa grabs her purse. Connor's jaw tightens. Julian kicks over a potted fiddle leaf fig on his way to the door. Vanessa, turning back, tears of fury. You're going to regret this. Richard. No. You are. The door slams. Maria appears from the kitchen. Maria quiet. Are you okay? Richard exhales. No. But I will be. He opens his laptop. Chapter 4. August 5, 2023. The Pasadena Arboretum. 3:47 p.m. The jacaranda trees are in bloom. Purple petals fall like confetti across the stone pathway, leading to the memorial bench Richard commissioned in Margaret's name. It cost $75,000. Sustainably harvested teak. Hand-carved armrests. A bronze plaque engraved with Margaret's favorite Rilke quote. Let everything happen to you. Beauty and terror. Just keep going. No feeling is final. Richard chose this location because Margaret used to bring the children here when they were small. Before boarding schools. Before trust funds. Before they learned that love could be monetized. Today, 63 people are gathered for the dedication ceremony. Richard didn't tell his children it would be public. He didn't tell them he'd invited witnesses. The guests. Sitting in the third row. Howard and Richard's estate attorney for 26 years. 71 years old, gray suit. Leather portfolio on his lap. Dr. Priya Mehta, forensic accountant. 38, sharp-eyed. Noise-canceling headphones around her neck like a stethoscope. Maria Ashford. Wearing a simple navy dress Richard bought her at Nordstrom. No jewelry except a gold wedding band. Sitting in the front row. Vanessa arrives 19 minutes late in a black Mercedes G-Wagon. Chanel sunglasses, looking like she's attending a gallery opening, not a memorial. Connor flew in from Los Angeles, not Singapore. Wearing a Canali suit, AirPods still in. Julian hungover, unshaven, wearing a wrinkled linen shirt that probably cost $400. They don't acknowledge Maria. They don't acknowledge Howard or Priya. They have no idea what's about to happen. The ceremony begins 4 p.m. Richard steps to the small podium. A light breeze moves through the jacaranda branches. Petals fall onto his notes. He doesn't need the notes. Richard. Margaret believed in family. She believed that blood meant loyalty. She believed love wasn't something you bought. It was something you built, day after day, through presence and sacrifice. Vanessa checks her phone. Connor shifts his weight, glancing at his Apple Watch. Richard. Before she died, she made me promise something. She looked at me in her hospital room and said, "Don't let them forget who you are." He pauses. Richard. I broke that promise. Now they're listening. Richard. For 8 years I let you treat me like an ATM with a heartbeat. I told myself it was love. I told myself that if I kept giving, you'd keep coming back. Vanessa standing hissing. Dad, what the hell are you doing? Richard louder, sharp. Sit down. Vanessa sits, shocked into compliance. The crowd is silent. A woman in the fifth row is filming on her phone. Richard. I spent the last 6 months doing what I do best. I audited my own life. And here's what I found. Howard hands him a bound document. 73 pages. Tabs. Highlighted sections. Richard. Vanessa. Your art gallery, Vanessa Ashford Fine Arts LLC, is insolvent. You've taken $890,000 from me over 3 years. Your company hasn't filed taxes since 2021. The Basquiat sketch you bought with my money? I had it authenticated by Sotheby's. It's a forgery. Market value, $4,000. Vanessa's face drains of color. Richard. You didn't buy art. You bought cocaine and bottle service and a lifestyle you can't afford. Gasps from the crowd. Vanessa, voice shaking. You had no right. Richard. I had every right. I'm the one who paid for it. He turns to Connor. Richard. Connor. You told me you were a VP at Hathaway Sing Capital in Singapore. You were fired in January for falsifying expense reports. The fintech investment you pitched me in April? The CEO is under SEC investigation for securities fraud. Your co-investor is a man named Aaron Lim, currently facing a federal indictment. Connor doesn't move. His jaw tightens. Richard, you don't have a job. You've been living in a sublet in Santa Monica and pretending to work from Singapore. You faked a Zoom background. You lied to my face. Connor, quietly, dangerously. You're going to regret this. Richard. No. You are. He turns to Julian. Richard. Julian. You have no income. No job. No business. In 18 months, you've taken 47 international trips funded by a trust fund set up when you were 19. You've burned through $1.4 million. Last month, you tried to charge a $72,000 yacht rental in Mykonos to My American Express without asking. Julian stands. Julian. Fuck this. You're senile. Richard, calm. Priya. Show them. Priya stands. She projects a screen on the Memorial Garden wall, using a portable projector. On the screen, bank statements showing wire transfers. Loan records, none repaid. Email threads where the children coordinated their requests. A screenshot of a group text thread, recovered via iCloud subpoena. Connor, April 3, 2023. Dad's getting weird about money. We need to move fast. Vanessa, April 3rd. What if we get a conservatorship? Lock him down legally. Julian, April 4th. Well, he's too proud to fight it. Connor, April 10th. I talked to a lawyer. If we get a doctor to say he's declining, we can freeze everything. The crowd murmurs. Someone whispers, "Oh my God." The bomb. Richard pulls out another document. Richard. This is my last will and testament. Executed on July 1, 2023. Witnessed by Howard Ung and notarized by Patricia Galloway, a California licensed notary public. He opens it. Richard. Upon my death, 100% of my estate, including this house, my investment portfolio, all trust assets, and offshore accounts totaling $47.3 million, will pass to my spouse. Vanessa. Mom's dead. Richard. My current spouse. He gestures to Maria. Richard. Maria and I were married on June 15, 2023, in a private ceremony at Pasadena City Hall. She is now Maria Delgado Ashford, and she is the sole beneficiary of my entire estate. Chaos. Vanessa screams a raw guttural sound. Connor steps forward. Howard moves between them. Connor shaking, furious. You married the fucking maid? Richard. I married the only person who treated me like a human being. Vanessa crying, makeup running. We'll fight this. You're not competent. We'll get a psyche eval. We'll prove she manipulated you. Richard. You already tried. Silence. Richard. On July 20th, you filed a petition for emergency conservatorship in Los Angeles County Superior Court. You claimed I had dementia. You paid a psychiatrist named Dr. Raymond Okoro $15,000 to sign a cognitive assessment. He holds up another document. Richard. There's one problem. Dr. Okoro never examined me. The document is fraudulent. I have the Venmo receipts. I have the email chain where Vanessa coordinated the payment. I have a signed confession from Dr. Okoro's paralegal. Vanessa's lawyer. A man in his 40s, suddenly pale, stands. Lawyer. Mr. Ashford, if you're recording this conversation without consent. Richard. I'm not recording. She is. He points to Priya, who holds up a court-certified recording device with a blinking red light. Richard. California is a one-party consent state. Everything said here today is admissible in court. And I'm the consenting party. Priya, clinical, detached. I'm also a licensed forensic accountant and a certified fraud examiner. I've documented every transaction, every text, every falsified document. My report has been submitted to the Los Angeles District Attorney's Office. The final blow. Richard steps closer to his children. Richard. Forgery of a medical document is a felony under California Penal Code Section 471. Attempted conservatorship fraud is elder abuse under Welfare and Institutions Code 15610. You didn't just try to steal my money. You tried to erase me. Vanessa sobbing. We're your children. Richard. No. You're strangers who share my DNA. He hands Howard a folder. Richard. Howard is filing 3 things tomorrow. 1. A restraining order prohibiting any of you from contacting me. 2. A formal complaint with the California State Bar against your attorney for conspiracy to commit fraud. 3. A criminal referral to the DA for forgery and elder abuse. Connor voice breaking. You're really going to destroy us? Richard. No. You destroyed yourselves. I'm just making sure everyone knows. He turns to Maria. Richard. Let's go home. They walk away. Behind them, Vanessa collapses onto the bench, sobbing. Connor stands frozen, staring at nothing. Julian punches a jacaranda tree, splitting his knuckles open. The crowd disperses in silence. A reporter from the Pasadena Star-News is already typing. The fallout next 72 hours. August 6. Vanessa's lawyer withdraws from the conservatorship case. Connor's LinkedIn is deleted. Julian checks into a rehab facility in Malibu. Posts on Instagram. Taking time to heal folded hands. August 7th. The Los Angeles Times runs a story. Pasadena attorney accuses children of elder abuse in public memorial confrontation. August 8th. The DA's office opens an investigation. Dr. Raymond Okoro surrenders his medical license to avoid criminal charges. Richard and Maria don't read the articles. They're already 3 steps ahead. Chapter 5. July 12, 2023, 3 weeks before the memorial. 11:34 p.m. Richard sits in his private study. The house is silent. Maria went to bed an hour ago. The only light comes from 3 monitors arranged in a semicircle on his mahogany desk. The room smells like old leather and the faint lavender of the candle Maria lights every evening before she leaves him to work. Richard isn't angry anymore. He's hunting. In front of him. Monitor 1. LexisNexis Case Map. Forensic Legal Database. Monitor 2. Excel spreadsheet with 4,701 rows of financial transactions. Monitor 3. Email metadata pulled from a subpoena Howard executed under seal. The question: how did they get so comfortable stealing from me? Richard starts with the smallest thread. A single wire transfer. October 14, 2015. Recipient: Vanessa Ashford. Amount $12,000. Memo: emergency medical expense. Richard pulls the hospital records. Margaret had just died 3 weeks earlier. Nothing. No ER visit. No urgent care. No procedure. He cross-references Vanessa's Instagram. Posted October 18, 2015. A photo of Vanessa on a beach in Tulum. White bikini. Cocktail. Sunset. Caption: sometimes you just need to heal. Sunrise sparkles. Likes: 1,847. Richard stares at the screen. She wasn't sick. She was on vacation. With his money. 2 weeks after her mother died. The pattern emerges. Richard writes a Python script. He taught himself to code during the early 2000s when digital forensics became essential in estate litigation. The script scans every transaction over $5,000 sent to his children since Margaret's death. Results: generated 11:52 p.m. Total transactions: 127. Total amount: $4,731,482. Memo lines marked loan: 91%. Repayments received: 0. Transactions within 48 hours of social media posts showing luxury activity: 68%. The most damning pattern: every emergency request came within 72 hours of a luxury purchase, cars, jewelry, travel. A social media post showing wealth. A financial deadline, rent, credit card minimums, loan payments. They weren't in crisis. They were just bad with money and knew Richard would always say yes. But that's not the smoking gun. Richard notices something in the metadata of the conservatorship petition. Document creation date: April 3, 2023. Document file date: July 20, 2023. They've been planning this for 4 months. Richard's pulse doesn't quicken. He's too well trained for that. He opens a legal subpoena Howard filed 2 weeks earlier under a sealed motion. California Probate Code Section 1250 allows discovery of financial elder abuse. The subpoena pulls email records, iCloud backups, Google Drive edit logs, shared calendar entries. What he finds: a Google Doc titled Dad Strategy Private, created by Connor Ashford, shared with Vanessa Ashford, Julian Ashford. Last edited July 18, 2023. Richard clicks. The document excerpts. Connor, April 3rd, 11:47 p.m. Okay, so I talked to Steinberg, the lawyer. If we wait until Dad is actually incompetent, we lose leverage. We need to move now while we can still control the narrative. Steinberg says if we get a medical professional to sign off on cognitive decline, we can freeze the estate and petition for emergency conservatorship. He won't even know until it's done. Vanessa, April 5th, 9:12 a.m. What about the maid? He's been acting weird about her. Like protective. Julian, April 5th, 11:38 a.m. She's literally nobody. If she's a problem, we just pay her off. $20K and an NDA. Done. Connor, April 10th, 3:15 p.m. Steinberg found a psychiatrist. Dr. Raymond Okoro. He'll sign the assessment for $15,000. He doesn't even need to examine Dad. He just needs to review behavioral reports we provide. Steinberg says it's common practice in contested conservatorship. Vanessa, April 12th, 8:04 p.m. What if Dad fights it? Connor, April 12th, 8:47 p.m. He won't. He's too proud. And honestly, I think part of him wants to give up. He's been depressed since Mom died. This might actually be a relief for him. Vanessa, April 15th, 10:22 a.m. Do we all agree this is the right thing? I don't want to feel like we're being cruel. Connor, April 15th, 10:29 a.m. We're protecting him and protecting the estate. It's responsible. Julian, April 15th, 11:03 a.m. LOL, you mean protecting our inheritance. Connor, April 15th, 11:08 a.m. Same thing. Richard reads it 3 times. He doesn't cry. He doesn't shout. He opens a new document. Countermeasure protocol revised. The realization. Richard understands something crucial. They're not just greedy. They're sloppy. They've left a digital paper trail so obvious that a first-year law student could dismantle it. And they have no idea. Over the next 2 weeks, July 13th to July 27th, Richard executes a plan so precise it feels like surgery. Step 1. Cognitive evaluation, July 13th to July 18th. Richard schedules appointments with 3 independent doctors. Dr. Helena Kwan, neuropsychologist, UCLA Medical Center. Dr. Marcus Okonkwo, geriatric psychiatrist, Cedars-Sinai. Dr. Diane Shapiro, cognitive specialist, Stanford Medical. Each conducts a full battery of tests. Mini mental state examination, MMSE 30 out of 30, perfect score. Montreal Cognitive Assessment, MoCA 29/30, above average for age group. Logical reasoning and memory tests, 97th percentile. Each doctor provides a notarized letter. Richard Ashford exhibits no signs of cognitive impairment, dementia, or diminished capacity. He is fully competent to manage his affairs. Richard files these with the court on July 19th, 1 day before his children file the conservatorship petition. Step 2. Asset isolation, July 14th to July 25th. Richard works with Howard to restructure his entire estate. Actions taken. transfers $31.2 million into an irrevocable trust. Trustee Maria Ashford. Beneficiaries: Maria, 100%. Executed July 15th, before the conservatorship filing, making it untouchable. Transfers the Pasadena house into an LLC. Owner: Ashford Family Holdings LLC. Managing member Maria Ashford. Filed with California Secretary of State on July 16th. Closes all joint accounts and credit cards. Connor, Vanessa, and Julian lose access on July 17th at 9 a.m. None of them notice for 3 days. Moves offshore accounts, Cayman Islands, Switzerland, into new structures with Maria as sole signatory. By July 25th, Richard's children have legal access to exactly $0 of his wealth, and they don't know yet. Step 3. The smoking gun, July 20th to July 27th. Richard discovers the kill shot. Vanessa paid Dr. Raymond Okoro $15,000 via Venmo. The payment description reads: Consulting RA assessment. RA equals Richard Ashford. Dr. Okoro never met Richard. He never conducted an exam. He signed a fraudulent medical document for cash. Richard doesn't go to the police. Not yet. Instead, Howard sends a letter to Dr. Okoro's attorney. We have documented evidence that your client falsified a psychiatric evaluation in exchange for payment. This constitutes fraud under California Penal Code Section 471 and medical malpractice under Business and Professions Code Section 2234. You have 48 hours to provide a full retraction, or we file complaints with the Medical Board of California and the Los Angeles County District Attorney. 36 hours later, Dr. Okoro's lawyer responds. A notarized retraction letter. I, Dr. Raymond Okoro, hereby retract my psychological assessment of Richard Clayton Ashford dated April 28, 2023. I did not personally examine Mr. Ashford. The assessment was prepared in error based on second-hand information. I have since reviewed independent evaluations and conclude that Mr. Ashford does not exhibit cognitive impairment. The conservatorship case collapses immediately. Step 4. The criminal referral, July 28. Howard files a formal complaint with the California Medical Board against Dr. Okoro, the Los Angeles County District Attorney, against Connor, Vanessa, and Julian for conspiracy to commit fraud and elder abuse. The California State Bar, against the children's attorney, David Steinberg, for suborning perjury. Richard isn't just defending himself. He's making sure they can never do this to anyone else. The final piece. On the night of July 27th, Richard sits with Maria in the library. Richard, they're going to come after you. They'll call you a gold digger. They'll say you manipulated me. They'll try to destroy your reputation. Maria, calm. I know. Richard, I need you to understand something. This prenup protects you legally, but it won't protect you emotionally. Are you ready for that? Maria looks at him. Maria, you gave me a choice. You treated me like a person. That's more than anyone in my family ever did. So yes, I'm ready. Richard nods. Richard, then tomorrow we go public. August 5, 2023, the memorial. Everything that happens at the memorial was designed. Every word. Every document. Every witness. Richard didn't lose his temper. He executed a plan. And by the time his children realized what was happening, it was already over. Chapter 6. April 19, 2023. The day after Richard proposed to Maria. 6:34 a.m. Richard wakes up and does something he hasn't done in 8 years. He smiles. Not because he's happy, not yet, but because he has purpose. For 42 years, Richard Ashford dismantled financial empires built on fraud. He tracked money through shell companies in the Cayman Islands, through nominee directors in Panama, through Byzantine trust structures designed to hide wealth from governments and ex-spouses. Now he's going to do the opposite. He's going to build a fortress so legally airtight that even his own children, represented by the best lawyers his money could buy, won't be able to touch a single dollar. This isn't revenge. This is architecture. The core principle, Robert Greene 48 Laws of Power, Law 15. Crush your enemy totally. Richard knows that partial measures lead to partial victories. If he simply changes his will, his children will contest it. If he simply cuts them off, they'll claim undue influence. If he simply fights the conservatorship, they'll refile with a better lawyer. So Richard doesn't fight. He makes it impossible for them to attack. Phase 1. The prenuptial agreement, April 19th to April 25th. Richard doesn't trust love. He trusts contracts. He hires Samantha Vega, one of the top family law attorneys in California. She's represented 3 billionaires in divorce cases and has never lost. Samantha's office, April 21st, 10 a.m. Samantha, reading Richard's draft prenup. This is the most one-sided prenup I've ever seen. You're giving her nothing. Richard. Correct. Samantha. If she leaves you, she gets 0. If you divorce her, she gets 0. She only inherits if she stays married to you until your death. Richard. Correct. Samantha. Why would she sign this? Richard. Because I'm going to ask her. And because unlike my children, she doesn't want my money. She wants my respect. Samantha. If your kids challenge this, they'll argue she was coerced. Richard. Which is why you're going to represent her. Samantha. I'm representing you. Richard. No. You're going to represent Maria. Separately. You're going to meet with her alone, explain every clause, ensure she has independent legal counsel, and document that she entered this agreement with full knowledge and zero pressure. Samantha stares at him. Samantha. You're not trying to protect yourself from her. You're trying to protect her from them. Richard. Exactly. April 25th, Maria signs the prenup. Samantha meets with Maria in a private conference room. No Richard. No witnesses except a notary. Samantha. Do you understand that under this agreement, you receive nothing unless you remain married to Richard until his death? Maria. Yes. Samantha. Do you understand that if you leave him, or if he divorces you, you walk away with 0 assets? Maria. Yes. Samantha. Then why are you signing? Maria. Quiet. Because he's the first person in 8 years who asked me what I wanted instead of telling me what to do. Maria signs. The prenup is notarized, witnessed, and filed under seal. It's bulletproof. Phase 2. The wedding, June 15, 2023. Richard and Maria marry at Pasadena City Hall. No guests. No flowers. No reception. Present. Judge Marion Reyes, officiant. Howard Ng, witness. Samantha Vega, witness. A court-appointed videographer. Richard pays $1,200 to have the entire ceremony recorded and time-stamped. The ceremony lasts 9 minutes. Why Richard records it? If his children claim Maria coerced him, the video shows. Richard is lucid, articulate, and smiling. He answers legal questions without hesitation. He explicitly states on camera, I am entering this marriage of my own free will, with full understanding of its legal and financial implications. Judge Reyes asks, Mr. Ashford, do you have any concerns about this marriage? Richard, none. Judge Reyes, has anyone pressured you into this decision? Richard, no. This is the first decision in years I've made entirely for myself. The video is sealed and stored in 3 locations. Howard's office safe, a bank safety deposit box, an encrypted cloud server with a law firm in New York. If anyone tries to claim incompetence, the video destroys the argument. Phase 3. The irrevocable trust, June 16th to July 15th. Know until it's done. Vanessa, April 5th, 9:12 a.m. What about the maid? He's been acting weird about her. Like protective. Julian, April 5th, 11:38 a.m. She's literally nobody. If she's a problem, we just pay her off. $20K and an NDA. Done. Connor, April 10th, 3:15 p.m. Steinberg found a psychiatrist. Dr. Raymond Okoro. He'll sign the assessment for $15,000. He doesn't even need to examine Dad. He just needs to review behavioral reports we provide. Steinberg says it's common practice in contested conservatorship. Vanessa, April 12, 8:04 p.m. What if Dad fights it? Connor, April 12, 8:47 p.m. He won't. He's too proud. And honestly, I think part of him wants to give up. He's been depressed since Mom died. This might actually be a relief for him. Vanessa, April 15, 10:22 a.m. Do we all agree this is the right thing? I don't want to feel like we're being cruel. Connor, April 15, 10:29 a.m. We're protecting him and protecting the estate. It's responsible. Julian, April 15, 11:03 a.m. LOL, you mean protecting our inheritance. Connor, April 15, 11:08 a.m. Same thing. Phase 5. Closing the credit lines, July 17, 2023. Richard calls Bank of America, Chase, and American Express. Richard to each. I'd like to close all authorized user accounts associated with my credit cards. At 9 a.m. on July 17, Vanessa's Amex credit line, $75,000 closed. Connor's Chase Sapphire Reserve closed. Julian's Bank of America Visa closed. None of them notice for 3 days. On July 20th, Vanessa tries to pay for a $4,200 dinner at Nobu Malibu. Declined. She calls Richard. He doesn't answer. She calls the bank. Bank representative. The account holder removed you as an authorized user. Vanessa. When? Bank representative. July 17th. Vanessa texts Connor and Julian. Group chat, July 20th, 8:42 p.m. Vanessa. He cut us off. Connor. What? Vanessa. Dad closed the cards. Julian. WTF. Connor. That's it. We're filing tomorrow. Phase 6. The surveillance, April 20th to August 4th. Richard doesn't just defend. He watches. He hires a private investigation firm, Sentinel Risk Group, to monitor his children's communications. Legal? Barely. Howard structures it as protective surveillance to prevent elder abuse. What Sentinel discovers? The Google Doc. Dad strategy private. Email coordination between the children and their lawyer. Venmo payment from Vanessa to Dr. Okoro, $15,000, April 12th. Text messages where Julian jokes about Richard's dementia. Calendar invites for Dad conservatorship meeting, shared between all three. Everything is documented. Everything is admissible. Phase 7. The Bait, July 28th to August 4th. Richard schedules the memorial service. He doesn't tell his children it's public. He doesn't tell them he's invited. A forensic accountant, his lawyer, a court reporter, witnesses. He lets them think it's a family event. Because Richard knows. People reveal their true selves when they think no one important is watching. August 5th, 2023, the memorial service. When Richard stands at that podium, he's not improvising. Every word was written 3 weeks earlier. Every document was prepared in advance. Every witness knew their role. Richard wasn't having a breakdown. He was springing a trap that took 287 days to build. And by the time his children realized what was happening, the walls had already closed. The principal Richard followed Robert Greene, the 33 strategies of war. The best way to fight an enemy is to make them fight themselves. Richard didn't destroy his children. He let them destroy themselves and documented it. Vanessa. When? Bank representative. July 17th. Vanessa texts Connor and Julian. Group chat, July 20th, 8:42 p.m. Vanessa. He cut us off. Connor. What? Vanessa. Dad closed the cards. Julian. WTF. Connor. That's it. We're filing tomorrow. Phase 6. The surveillance, April 20th to August 4th. Richard doesn't just defend. He watches. He hires a private investigation firm, Sentinel Risk Group, to monitor his children's communications. Legal? Barely. Howard structures it as protective surveillance to prevent elder abuse. What Sentinel discovers. The Google Doc. Dad strategy private. Email coordination between the children and their lawyer. Venmo payment from Vanessa to Dr. Okoro, $15,000, April 12. Text messages where Julian jokes about Richard's dementia. Calendar invites for dad conservatorship meeting, shared between all three. Everything is documented. Everything is admissible. Phase 7. The Bait, July 28 to August 4. Richard schedules the memorial service. He doesn't tell his children it's public. He doesn't tell them he's invited. A forensic accountant. His lawyer. A court reporter. Witnesses. He lets them think it's a family event. Because Richard knows. People reveal their true selves when they think no one important is watching. August 5, 2023. The memorial service. When Richard stands at that podium, he's not. Chapter 7. August 6, 2023, 8:47 a.m. Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office Elder Abuse Unit. Deputy District Attorney Nicole Tran sits in her office on the 4th floor of the Clara Shortridge Falls Criminal Justice Center. She's 39, sharp-eyed, and has prosecuted 73 elder abuse cases in 6 years. On her desk, a 114-page complaint filed by Howard Ng on behalf of Richard Ashford. She's read it twice. Nicole, to her paralegal. Get me everything. Bank records, emails, medical files. And find out if the kids have priors. Paralegal. You think this is real? Nicole. I think someone just handed me the most well-documented case of financial elder abuse I've ever seen. She opens her case file. The people of the state of California v. Connor Ashford, Vanessa Ashford, and Julian Ashford. August 8, 2023, 10:15 a.m. Connor sublet apartment, Santa Monica. Connor is on his laptop, applying for jobs, when 2 LAPD detectives knock on his door. Detective Sarah Ortiz and Detective Mike Huang. Detective Ortiz. Connor Ashford? Connor. Yes. Detective Ortiz. We have a warrant for your arrest. Connor stunned. For what? Detective Huang, reading from a card. Elder abuse, conspiracy to commit fraud and forgery. You have the right to remain silent. Connor is handcuffed in his living room. His neighbors film it on their phones. By noon it's on Twitter. August 8, 2023, 11:42 a.m. Vanessa's Soho Loft, New York City. Vanessa is on a Zoom call with a potential investor when 2 NYPD detectives arrive with an extradition warrant. Detective Lauren Hayes. Vanessa Ashford, you're under arrest on a warrant from Los Angeles County. Vanessa's Zoom screen freezes on her face. Eyes wide, mouth open. The investor screenshots it. By 3 p.m. it's on page 6. Art dealer Vanessa Ashford arrested in elder abuse case involving socialite family. August 8, 2023, 2:33 p.m. Julian's rehab facility, Malibu. Julian is in a group therapy session when 2 detectives walk in. Detective Ramon Cruz. Julian Ashford? Julian stands. Julian. I'm in rehab. You can't. Detective Cruz. We can. Let's go. Julian is walked out in handcuffs. The patient films it and posts it to TikTok. It goes viral in 4 hours. The arraignment, August 10, 2023. All 3 children appear in Los Angeles Superior Court. Connor. Represented by a public defender. His private lawyer dropped him. Vanessa. Represented by a crisis attorney she hired for $50,000, borrowed from a friend. Julian. Representing himself. His lawyer quit after Julian couldn't pay the retainer. Judge Carolyn Way presides. The same judge who was supposed to hear the conservatorship case. Judge Way reading the charges. This is one of the most disturbing cases I've seen. You attempted to defraud your own father, falsified medical records, and weaponized the legal system against an innocent man. Bail Connor, $150,000. Vanessa, $200,000. Julian, $100,000. None of them can pay. They spend 3 nights in jail. On August 13th, a bail bondsman, hired by Vanessa's ex-boyfriend, posts bail. The civil lawsuit, August 15, 2023. Richard doesn't stop with criminal charges. Howard files a civil lawsuit in Los Angeles County Superior Court. Richard Ashford v. Connor Ashford, Vanessa Ashford, Julian Ashford. Claims: fraud, breach of fiduciary duty, intentional infliction of emotional distress, conspiracy. Damages sought: $4,731,482. Full repayment of all loans. $10 million in punitive damages. Attorney's fees and costs. Total: $14,731,482. The lawsuit is served on August 16th. None of the children can afford a defense. Connor. LinkedIn permanently suspends his account for misrepresentation. He's blacklisted in finance. Recruiters ghost him. Vanessa. Her art gallery, Vanessa Ashford Fine Arts, closes on September 3rd. The landlord files an eviction lawsuit. She owes $47,000 in back rent. Julian. His trust fund is frozen pending the outcome of the criminal case. He's dropped by his social circle. Former friends unfollow him on Instagram. Dr. Raymond Okoro, the co-conspirator. On September 20, 2023, Okoro surrenders his medical license rather than face a hearing. He's banned from practicing medicine in California for life. David Steinberg, the lawyer. The California State Bar files disciplinary charges for suborning perjury, filing a fraudulent court document, conspiracy to commit elder abuse. On November 12, 2023, Steinberg is disbarred. The plea deal, October 30, 2023. Deputy DA Nicole Tran offers a deal. Connor, Vanessa, and Julian plead guilty to 1 count of elder abuse felony. Serve 18 months in county jail. Eligible for early release after 12 months. Pay full restitution to Richard. $4,731,482. Split 3 ways. 5 years of probation. Permanent restraining order. Cannot contact Richard or Maria. The alternative: go to trial and risk 11 years in state prison. November 3, 2023. The plea hearing. All 3 children stand before Judge Wei. Judge Wei, do you understand that by pleading guilty, you are admitting to exploiting your father? Connor quietly: yes, Your Honor. Vanessa crying: yes. Julian voice breaking: yes. Judge Wei: I'm accepting the plea. But I want to be clear. You didn't just steal money. You tried to steal your father's autonomy, his dignity, and his freedom. That is unforgivable. Sentencing. December 15, 2023. Each receives 12 months in county jail. $1,577,160.67 in restitution each. 5 years supervised probation. Mandatory financial counseling. Permanent restraining order. They are taken into custody immediately. The media fallout. The case becomes a national story. Headlines. Maria's interview, January 12, 2024, NPR. Host. Maria, people are calling you a gold digger. What do you say to that? Maria. I say they don't know what it's like to be invisible. For 6 years I cleaned that house. I cooked meals no one thanked me for. I was furniture. Then one night I brought him a glass of water, and he looked at me like I was a person. That's all I ever wanted. Host. Do you love him? Maria pause. I respect him. And in my experience that's rarer than love. The final domino, March 2024. Richard receives a letter from the IRS. His children, in their desperation, reported him for tax evasion, a last-ditch attempt at revenge. The IRS audits Richard. Result: Richard's taxes are flawless. He's overpaid by $14,000. The IRS sends him a refund check. Richard frames it and hangs it in his study. Los Angeles Times. Pasadena attorney's children sentenced in elder abuse plot. New York Times. When inheritance becomes extortion. A family's fall. CNN. The maid who became an heiress. One man's fight against his own children. Richard declines all interview requests. But Maria does one. If this story moved you, if it made you think about the people in your life who show up with a glass of water at 2 a.m. instead of a Venmo request at 2 p.m., then do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button. Not because I need the numbers, but because there are more stories like this, stories about people who were underestimated, overlooked and dismissed. People who were called the help or nobody or just the maid. People who turned out to be the most important person in the room. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, someone who's being taken advantage of by the people who are supposed to love them, share this video. Send it to them. Let them know they're not alone. Because sometimes the most powerful thing in the world isn't money or revenge or a legal strategy. Sometimes it's just a glass of water. I'll see you in the next one.